Now, the Free Legal Advice Day forms part of the Law Society's objectives to make legal services more accessible to those members of the public who cannot afford legal services. The Office of the Ombudsman has been instrumental in the success of the Free Legal Advice Day, or FLAD, since the project was launched in August 2024 by supporting this project and assisting the Law Society of Namibia with the venues and advertising in the region. Now, this year the day is set to be commemorated tomorrow, that's the 20th of April, at the Walvis Bay Magistrates Court. To give us more details on this is the Public Relations Officer in the Office of the Ombudsman, that's Aurelia David. A very good evening to you, Aurelia, and thank you so much for being here this evening.
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me.
Now, how would you describe the access to quality legal advice for everyday Namibians? Let's start right there.
Yes. Before I answer that, just a quick correction. The initiative was launched in 2014. How would I describe sorry, repeat the question?
How would you describe the access to quality legal advice for everyday Namibians?
Well, I would say, you know, the ordinary Namibian cannot afford legal services. Legal services are generally very expensive. Even just a consultation to open a file without the lawyer actually even doing anything in terms of representing you in court, or, you know, representing you in a dispute or whatever the case may be. The access is there, but then the actual affordability is what is the problem.
So why did the Law Society and the Office of the Ombudsman see a need to come up with this initiative?
Yes, going back again to the first answer, really because of the affordability of it. A lot of people can't afford legal services. And, you know, the Law Society then thought that why not take free legal advice to the people, go to the regions, to the communities, and just provide people with advice free of charge. And where the Office of the Ombudsman then comes in is that, being the National Human Rights Institution, a lot of legal issues are sort of, you know, related to human rights violations or human rights issues. That's then where we come in, where we join the lawyers from the Law Society and just register complaints, as well as create awareness around the work of the office and things like that.
So this project has been running for quite a few years now, as you said, in 2014. How has the response been?
The response has been quite positive. We get a lot of outpouring from members of the public that come to these events and really just speak to people to get some free advice. And also just for the public to be aware that it's not just officials from the Ombudsman and the Law Society. We have people from the Master of the High Court, Ministry of Labor, as well as Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare as well. So the response is positive. That is why this time we are making it late in the afternoon until early evening, because what we've learned in the past is that people were sort of disappointed that we were ending at 1700 hours and they were at work and they weren't able to attend the events. So based on that feedback that we got from the people, we now decided this time to make it from 1300 hours, so people can at least use their lunch time, those that work, to come, and then until 2000 hours. So those that knock off at, you know, from 1600 hours, whatever the case may be, can come join us until 8 o'clock in the evening.
Right. So could you perhaps maybe outline a few of the most crucial topics that you'll be giving advice on?
So, as I mentioned, the Master of the High Court will be there. Officials from the Master of the High Court will be there. So they deal with wills and estates, inheritance, things like that. Divorce, labor-related matters, domestic violence, and really any other issue, legal-related issue.
Mm-hmm. And also talk to us about some of the success stories that you've had since the inception of this initiative.
So some of the success stories that we've had in the past is that, seeing as we have lawyers from the Law Society of Namibia, a lot of them have their own law firms. They belong to law firms. They work for law firms. So they have then taken up some cases pro bono, and they've taken them further. I remember particularly the last one that we had in Windhoek, it was a couple of divorce cases that were actually taken up pro bono. So that I can highlight as some of the successes. Whereas, and even also just, you know, when we've helped people, because information is really power. Sometimes people just really didn't know that this is what they needed to know to move forward or to have their problem solved.
Right.
So I think I can highlight that as some of the successes of the event.
Well, let me thank you so much for your time. Was there something else that you wanted to add about this day?
Yeah, maybe just
the venue,
yeah,
and how the proceedings are going to take place. Must people register before they come, or?
All right, thank you so much. Yes, very crucial information just to invite everybody in Walvis by tomorrow. The Law Society of Namibia, along with the Office of the Ombudsman and officials from the Master of the High Court, Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Gender Equality, are going to be at the Walvis Bay Magistrate Court tomorrow from 1300 hours to 2000 hours. So it's a free legal advice day. You don't need to fork out any money. You don't need to register.
Right.
The only thing that we can maybe appeal to members of the public is to bring along documentation. If you have any documentation that supports your case or your matter, to please bring it along.
Well, thank you so much once again, and we wish you all the best in your initiative.
Thank you very much.
That is, of course, Aurelia David, who is the Public Relations Officer at the Office of the Ombudsman, ending our discussion. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with a daily roundup. Don't go away.